So if you're on your anxiety recovery journey, I hate to say this, but there is one mistake you're definitely making. It's almost guaranteed that you're making during your anxiety recovery journey. And it's a mistake that I made during so much of the anxiety struggles. And once I really understood this one thing, I was a little bit upset, but it really helped with my anxiety recovery journey. Okay, so pay attention and make sure you watch this whole video because it's really gonna highlight some of the mistakes. And if you can correct this, well, your recovery will happen much faster. So let's get it started. Now, before I get into this one thing, before we get started, if you really like the content in this channel, if it's really been helping you on your journey, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps the channel out a lot, and it allows us to keep making these videos for you. So with that said, what's the one mistake almost guaranteed that you're making on your journey? And the truth is, I'm gonna get right into it, which is you're overcomplicating recovery. You really are. And look, this is somebody who guilty as charged. Something I did so much during my anxiety journey, and maybe something that you're experiencing too right now. You know, when people are trying to focus on how to recover, so many people have so many different opinions that it's hard to know what's the right thing. So many people, maybe even you right now, you may be watching this channel and then you may be listening to somebody else and then two other people, and then listening to all these different people, and maybe sure the bulk of what they're saying is the same, but they have little nuances, And so it's like, which one do you choose? Or, you go to talk therapy and, you're just talking about your anxiety. And is that what's helping? Is it some childhood trauma that you need to experience? Or is it like what we say, which is whatever happened, you got to focus on now and the future? Really, which one do you do? Is it a vitamin deficiency? Is it a nutrient deficiency? Is it a diet issue? Is it because you're not getting enough sunlight? Is it because you're not exercising? And so everybody, for some reason, is an anxiety expert. People that are struggling with anxiety are anxiety experts. People that are specialists in their own domain will say, yeah, well, you need to do this one thing. Otherwise, you'll experience anxiety. Think about it, right? Like if you go to an acupuncturist, they're gonna say acupuncture will help with anxiety. You go to a talk therapist, they'll say talk therapy. You go to a doctor, they'll say meds. You go to a personal trainer, they're gonna say exercise. Everybody's different. And that was one of the biggest struggles for me because it got so complicated. And what happened as a consequence was I kept trying to figure out everything. I tried figuring out everything. I was like, okay, well, the reason why I'm not getting better is because I haven't tried this one thing, or I just don't understand this one thing, or there's this certain piece that's missing in my anxiety journey. And so if I could just figure out that piece, that's what's holding me back. And if I can just figure this out, then I'll be out of this. Who knows? Maybe I can get better, And what I would do is I would try to figure it out on my own. And I would try to figure it out, and then it wouldn't work, and then I would just be like, okay, well, maybe I can just keep doing the same thing, which is what I see a lot of people do. They sometimes just do the same thing expecting a different result. For me, I was very stubborn during my anxiety journey, but one thing that was good about me was I recognized when something wasn't working. I'm like, okay, this clearly isn't working, And so because of that, probably my biggest issue was that I had shiny object syndrome. Some people just keep doing the same thing over and over, thinking they're going to expect a different result. Now, the point of me saying all this is recovery is actually very simple, okay? Now, remember, I'm saying simple, not easy, all right? There's the distinction there. I hear a lot of people say, Shaan, yeah, but it's easier said than done. Oh, I know. I said that more than anybody during my journey. But even though it's hard, it's simple, right? It's still focused on simplicity. And once I started really focusing on the simple aspects of recovery, there was an element of me that sometimes wanted to complicate it. There was an element of me that was kind of irritated about how simple this was. And it made me feel kind of bad because it was like, man, I was trying all these different things, when really it was just this one thing that I had to do, or a couple of things I had to do. And so what happens as a consequence is a lot of anxiety sufferers naturally complicate it. Now, why are they complicating it? Well, we addressed the first element, right? Which is a lot has to do with your surroundings, your environment. Everyone having a different idea on anxiety. And so because they have a different idea, it's almost like too much information. It's information overload. You don't know what to think, right? But then there's a second aspect. There's an internal aspect of it. And the internal aspect is this. When you're experiencing anxiety, the mind thinks more. It just does. Now, why does the mind think more? Well, anxiety is about survival. Fundamentally, to its core, to its principle, it's about survival. Doesn't matter about anything else. It's about survival. So one of the things that happens is that you experience a lot of physical symptoms because of the physiological changes. The other thing that happens is there's a lot of cognitive changes too, a lot of mental changes, higher functioning thinking changes. And so what that means is you will naturally think more. You will, because you're always doing a cost-benefit analysis, right? Like if you're in a stressful situation or a scary situation, you're gonna overthink things. You're gonna think, okay, how am I gonna get out of here? What about this? What if that happens? Your mind, it does it on its own. It's designed to do that. It's designed to problem solve, deductive reasoning, trying to figure out, do cost-benefit analysis. So naturally, as an anxiety sufferer, as you're going through recovery journey, what do you think you're gonna do? Simplify it or complicate it? It's natural. Everyone's gonna complicate it. Now, it's not you. You're not doing this. It's just how anxiety creates the cycle, right? Because that's really what it is. It creates a loop that burns off itself, right? And so that's what happens. And so the overthinking happens, that complicates recovery, and then people start experiencing more symptoms because they get more stressed. And then over time, they've been going through this for so long, now they're upset about how long this has been going on, and then it just becomes like this loop, right? So the key here is really to simplify recovery, yeah? In the mentorship, we're really pushing people to get people better. When I'm guiding people step by step, my biggest criteria is getting people better. I am when it comes to recovery, there is no exception. Everybody has to do it, and I'll push people. And I'll make sure, and I'll be with them when they're recovering, but the key is recovery. I'm not really interested in them feeling a little bit better. Sometimes they have a lot of big wins in the mentorship. They do some pretty amazing things, and I give them kudos, but I'm still thinking about the next 2 steps later. I'm like, okay, now this person was agoraphobic, but now they're going back to living. Okay, cool, but I really want them to challenge themselves. I want them to, if they wanted to, they can skydive and not have any of these symptoms. That's the standards that we have, and the goal is for them to hit those standards and never fall back in. And so when we're guiding people, it's actually very simple. It's very simple. I'm not making them do anything else. Yeah, I'm not making them be like, okay, you guys need to buy this magnesium stuff. You guys need to do this. You guys need to do that. It's like, no, you don't need any of that. How is it that we're getting people to recovery without having them buy anything? And how much money have you spent on all these supplements or all these anxiety things? I spent $30,000. And so, somebody who's spent that amount of money desperately trying to fix themselves and trying to get better, who was honestly trying to get better, and then recovery is just a few simple things. There is a little bit of natural resentment, right? It's almost like it's not fair how simple it is. And so, if you're really struggling on this path, ask yourself, where are you complicating this? Yeah? Because I find sometimes the people, this is gonna sound nuts, but there are people the people that really do really well, when I'm guiding them, they listen exactly what I tell them. I say, do this, and they just do it. They don't think about it. They have a lot of trust in me, which I really appreciate, which I don't take lightly, but they don't overthink things. They're very simple people, very simple. You just tell them to do it. They'll be like, yeah, I'll just do it. Okay. Just do it. No questioning, none of that. Not like, oh, Shaan, but what about this? Like, yeah, but I've been thinking about this, but wouldn't, or they go rogue or something like that. It's nothing like that. Once they just focus on, okay, Shaan told me to do this, I'm going to do this, they just get better. And they sometimes, if even the people there's some people that I've helped who really don't even understand the fight or flight response. They actually don't. It's nuts. Now, I always say educate yourself, understand what's happening, because understanding will help. But there's some people that are just like, they'll just do it and they'll just figure it out. And they didn't think more, they actually thought less. And they just executed. And they just focused on the right steps, and they kept recovery simple, and they kept it on the basics, and they got better. So that's what I would recommend. Keep recovery simple. There's so many different gurus out there saying so many different things. Yes, to a certain degree, anxiety is nuanced. Everybody is different, 100%. But the principles of recovery are the same. It has to be. Everybody's different. But is everyone breathing differently? Am I breathing oxygen and you're breathing something else? No, everyone breathes oxygen, right? Everybody does. Stress has a certain physiological response that affects everybody the same way. The manifestations of those symptoms are different, right? And we know, I get it, we don't live in a vacuum, but the principles are the same. Whether you've fallen into this by smoking weed, or whether you've fallen into this after having, childbirth, or whether this has happened during stress, or whether like from work, or whether this happened from a breakup, or whether this happened from war. The principles are the same. We've helped people around the world. Principles are the same here. And so I see a lot of gurus talking about complicating it. I see a lot of people in their own field complicating it. And I was a victim to that too, because I just followed what people said and it got me nowhere. And so the key is, don't follow people with certain ideologies. Just focus on what do you need to get better. And what I've always found is the best way is to find somebody who's gone through it to guide you step by step. There's no other way. There is no book out there that someone can read that would have them guide somebody better than someone who's experienced it themselves, right? I can explain to you how a meal was, but if I just give you one bite, you'll know exactly how it is. And no matter what I describe, it's never going to do it justice. The same way with recovery, right? Explaining this to somebody who doesn't really know what's happening, it's so difficult. So what I would say is find somebody who really understands what happens and what's happening. And the way I often find is people that have gone through it themselves. That's the best way to know. And have them guide you, because they're just a few steps ahead of you. And so they'll show you what to do. A lot of the things that you think make you unique, or what you're experiencing is unique, is not very unique. People that apply to the mentorship, sometimes they say I'm a little bit too candid, because they'll tell me, Shaan, I'm going through this, and it's really debilitating, and I'll laugh. And I won't laugh in like a bad way. Like, I'm not laughing like as in like I'm downplaying their symptoms. But I will sometimes, it comes across naturally, because I've heard the same thing so many times from so many different people. And so many of these people have gotten better too, right? So it's like, to a certain degree, it's like, I've almost become numb to it too, If everybody is having physiological symptoms, if they're unable to sleep, if they're having morning anxiety, and somebody new comes in saying I'm experiencing this, there's not naturally a shock value. So the point of me telling you that is, if you're going through this, don't feel like you're alone. Really focus on long-term freedom. And so if you really want to work with me and the team and guide you step by step out of this, going back to living carefree, where you're just enjoying yourself outside, then there's a link down below to apply for mentorship. When you apply, there's going to be a quick 20-minute video. It's not quick, but it's a very good video that's succinct enough that really explains how the mentorship works. And if it's something you want to apply for, feel free. And if not, the video will tell you really how we get results, what kind of results we see, what kind of people have gone through the recovery journey, why what we do is so much different than other people. So I'd highly recommend, if you're going to click the video, watch it in its entirety and pay attention to it. Then if you want to apply for mentorship, go ahead and apply, and my team and I will review it. And if you're a good fit, I'll just guide you myself. And we'll get you out of this. We'll have you going back to living without any of these symptoms, without complicating recovery, just going back to living. So I'll see you in the next video. How long was